What's up, everybody? This is Candy.
And this is B.
And this is another Trend Kill Quickie interview. We have with us here local musician Zup.
How's it going? How you doing? You doing good? Good.
AKA Macklemore.
Yeah.
And special guest Elvira. I mean, she didn't even charge us for this shit.
Oh, it was so nice of you to come.
Oh, before we get started, I do want you to please like, subscribe, hit your notification bells, little notification bells, because we do hope to do more of these again in the future. So yeah, without further ado,
all right,
we'll go ahead and get into it.
Thank you all for being here, Zup. Thank you so much for taking the time
thanks for having
to talk to us today. We have a lot to talk about with you. I mean, you got lots of shows coming up, all this good stuff, a new album out, which more good stuff, but we'll get more into that later. First, we're just going to kind of talk about some of your history.
Okay.
So your first album, Room to Grow, came out 2013. Big success.
10 years ago.
10 years ago, right?
Ugh.
And now your second album, For Me, is out now 2023. So there's a bit of a gap there.
Yeah.
So let's start with Room to Grow. You know, what really inspired you to start with music in the first place? What inspired you to make that album? Where did that come from? Like, what does your songwriting process look like for that album?
So when I was in high school, I used to, rap and make CDs and sell them around the school and stuff. And then when I got older, I was rapping over known instrumentals, like Chicken Head instrumental, 3-6 Mafia. And then I was like, I don't want to keep rapping over somebody else's stuff. So I kind of taught myself how to make beats. So then I really fell in love with producing and all that. So then, when I was out of high school, I just started strictly only producing for people.
What kind of software were you using at the time?
Oh man, it was Acid Pro 4.0, which is terrible. But somebody gave me that software, and it's once you get used to something, I never wanted to upgrade. I just always wanted to stay with Acid Pro, and it was great. So anyways,
fix it, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So I was just producing for people, and then I would do a verse here and there or a hook. And I moved to Cincinnati, and I started working on an instrumental album. And then me and my ex ended up breaking up, so I started moving home. So I had an instrumental, which was actually Drunk and Sunburnt. And I was listening to it before I moved back home, and I was I started thinking of a hook, and I was like, oh, that's pretty catchy. Maybe I'll write something to this, So I came home, I recorded Drunk and Sunburnt. I put it on Facebook, and one of my friends was like, hey, Rover is doing this contest. Send your music in, and maybe he'll pick you to perform at Roverfest. I forgot about it. I did it. I forgot all about it. 2 weeks later, my phone was blowing up. They're playing your song on Rover. They're playing your song on Rover. And I went on my Facebook, and my Zup music page just had all these 200 new likes on there. Every day it started blowing up. I'm like, oh my God. So that kind of gave me that push, oh, I need to record an album now, So so that was what started that for doing an album. And then I got back into doing my own solo stuff, which had been years. And I just told myself if I was to make music, I wanted to stay true to me and just do something fun and be, like I said, true to myself. Don't lie about anything. Just talk about things that people are going through or whatever, And there was a few songs like that on that album, but mostly when you think of that album, it's fun party, let's get drunk stuff. But I was also 27 when I made that album, So
Different mindset.
Yeah, exactly. So that's long story short. How that came to be.
This is good to hear. And I mean, it makes sense that at that time, that was sort of the music that you were making, just given life when we're 27 versus now.
Oh, yeah.
Right. But I think that's really cool that your part of your creation is wanting to connect with people and having people being able to relate to your music because, and we'll talk about feelings on the music industry a little bit later, but I feel like we're losing a little bit of that, I think, nowadays.
Yes.
So, but Candy and I have to share a microphone.
You can take mine.
So I'm gonna hand it back to her now.
All right. So as she had mentioned, you did take a hiatus, a 10-year hiatus. I mean, do you care to talk a little bit about what made you kind of step back from making music for a while?
It was a whole bunch of things in my personal life, things in different aspects of my personal life. Also, like certain things that were going on in like the music scene in Cleveland or whatever. It's just like this huge everything hitting me at once type of thing, and I just had enough.
That's fair. And plus, you were also kind of, I feel like, because we're all about, close to the same age now at this point, I feel like that's also a weird age to be doing music, because you're kind of at an impasse in your life when you're going from your 20s into your 30s. That takes a huge toll on your mental health. And
for sure. And it was just like, there was just so much going on, it felt like. And I was doing what I thought was great at that point, but like I said, just everything just kind of hit at once, and I didn't really have anybody to like pull me back and say I did, but I didn't realize it, you know what I mean? Right. To be like, don't do this. It was just kind of like, you just do that.
Kind of got in your own head a little bit.
Yeah.
A lot of bit.
Yeah, a lot of it.
I understand that. Trust me. I think everybody in this room has probably hit that point in their life where they just kind of hit a wall. And
oh, I mean, I remember when she did,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
So going back to, talking about like how you like to make music based on, real raw things, right? Wanting to connect with your audience. Talk about your music in the context of like what the music scene is like right now, and how yours might be a little bit different, or, just, because it is different than anything that's out right now. So how do you compare what you're doing to what's popular or mainstream?
Oh, it's tough.
I just want to make sure I say it into the mic so they actually hear it. So, to elaborate on what she had, asked, like, how would you describe your sound?
That is a good question. My sound is like all over the place, but going back to what I said before about Room to Grow, that I feel like my sound is genuine. Like, I'm not trying to make anything sound a certain way. I'm just like being true to myself, even though it does cross different genres and is all over the place sometimes, As far as my content goes, though, like you were saying earlier too, that it feels like a lot of music nowadays just kind of like generic or whatever. And I don't know, I try to make music of something that I want to hear. Like, I want to hear somebody be vulnerable. I want to hear somebody talk about subjects that people normally wouldn't talk about, as long as it's not like corny or whatever, And
how do you define corny?
It's just, it can be. I don't know. It's hard. But
Rock House Rave.
Yeah. We're looking at you guys.
I love you guys. But yeah, I just I don't know. I wish more people would do that. And it always, anytime I hear something that I can relate to, or I can maybe not relate to, but I can understand where that person is coming from, I immediately gravitate towards it. And there's nothing wrong with just like dancey music or whatever. There's all types of music. I love all types of music. But as far as my genre, I'd rather, I don't know, I want to relate to something. I want to feel something. Let me feel something,
Yeah. But if you could, I know it's hard to do, but just for anyone out there who's never listened to your music, if you could try to put it in some kind of genre,
even like a few separate genres.
What do you think that would be?
My one buddy said it best: alternative R&B, and I love that.
I do too.
Yeah,
that is an accurate description.
That's actually perfect. And I've been trying to like rack my brain trying to think of how to even. I've been trying to rack my brain even trying to describe your sound to people that that I talk to about your music, and that actually fits perfectly.
Because I used to be like, oh, it's kind of hip hop, it's kind of like alternative, it's kind of like reggae, it's kind of
there's a little bit of rap feel to it.
Yeah, and like he was like, dude, it's alternative R&B, and I was like, oh my god, that's like genius.
Perfect. Yeah, that is. It's a genre that doesn't exist, but probably should.
Yeah.
In hindsight.
Shout out to Greg for alternative R&B.
Good job, Greg.
Yeah.
All right, so then that being said, who or what would you say actually inspires your music? Like, who are some of your musical influences?
Oh.
I know this is probably a tough one too.
It is. Beastie Boys, 100% my favorite
That makes sense.
group
I can see
ever.
that.
Their album Hello Nasty like shaped my life because I was like in 7th or 8th grade or something when that came out, and I remember listening to it and just being like, oh my god, this is so good, but not realizing what I was listening to until you like fast forward to 37-year-olds up now that listens to it still and goes, wow, still nothing sounds like this, you know.
There's a lot of passion behind their music too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just so creative. Yeah, so I love Beastie Boys. Jay-Z was always a big influence on me. It's funny, this is actually really funny. A group that really inspired this new album, which you won't hear it when I'm about to say, you're gonna be like, really? Is Paramore. Their After Laughter album also changed my life. That album is so good, and I was like, I want to make something like that, and my album sounds nothing like that, but in my mind, I achieved what I thought they achieved, if that makes sense.
I get it. No, I do. I get it.
Makes sense, yeah. Because I think even if something doesn't sound exactly like musically like what the other band had done, you're reaching a similar feel or has other elements that might be matching to for you, the things that are important for you. So that totally does make sense.
Yeah, because Haley Williams was writing like really sad songs, but like over really happy beats. Yeah. And I was like, man, I just love this. Like, this is like so happy, but like the underline to it is so sad. And I was like, that's how I want my album to be. Like,
and it takes a special kind of artist. It takes a special kind of artist to be able to do that too. Like, very few people, I think, mainstream have actually accomplished that. So I get it.
And that actually brings us to the next question.
Ooh.
So you're talking about sad experiences, sad songs over beats. Can you sort of explain to us what some of your songs, especially on your new album, what a lot of that content might be about? I know you've mentioned a lot of grief and loss and things like that. Can you elaborate a little bit about that?
Yeah. So I feel like everybody that can listen to this album has gone through a few things on the album, regardless of what it is. I started my album off with the song Lost and Found. That was pretty much about like just feeling lost and like not knowing where you kind of belong and having this like terrible feeling of losing friends, losing all these things, like just being in this dark place that I know like literally everybody has been in, and it's like finding that way to find yourself again and pull yourself out of that. That was like literally me all of 2020. I was just in this super dark place, and I like, went to therapy, pulled myself out of it, and it was a huge impact on me. So I wanted to write how that went. And a lot of people have told me that they love that song because they're like, I know exactly what you're going through, So stuff like that, obviously breakup stuff, like, just different emotions that come with breakups, losing my mother, losing a parent. Hopefully not everybody has experienced that, but some people have experienced that. And
I think everybody in this room actually.
Everyone in this room has.
Yeah, and it sucks.
It's hard to even like describe it, but your music does a great job at really relaying the feeling. That's why I appreciate your new album so much personally.
Thank you. Yeah, it's it's not an easy thing, and it's not even just losing a parent. It could be losing anybody close to you, but my vessel happened to be my mother to inspire this, and I wanted to write like a tribute to her, which I think I did, but I also wanted to portray like, that's part of the reason I was so lost. It was just like, oh my God, all these things, it's like, who do I talk to? What do I do? What do I, and I kind of wanted to show like, it's okay to be vulnerable. It's okay to feel lousy and to feel down about these things, but there is a light at the tunnel where, you come out of it, you shake it off, and it's like, okay, let's keep it moving. And then, there's kind of like a theme to my album where it was like started off sad, kind of got a little happy, a little sexy, and then it was like got kind of sad again, but it was more like a Like I understand that this sadness is here with me, and I understand that this grief is here with me, but like, you know, like,
It's okay.
yeah, it's okay. I'm gonna give a tribute to my mom. Thank you for everything, and now I'm dusting myself off, and like I'm ready to go. I'm out of the furnace. That's why I named the last song's "Out of the Furnace" because it is. So.
And I love that because I work in the field of mental health, and that's something that I teach because I'm an educator, and like it's okay to not be okay. I think in society we all say we have to keep moving and not deal with our emotions, and that's why everybody's walking around all angry or with depression or anxiety because no one wants to deal or process with those feelings. And it's important to deal with. It's not a happy place to be. It sucks. It's dark, but
Yeah.
in order to get to the other side, you sort of have to deal with it and get through it. And it's awesome that you were able to use music as your way to deal with it and get through it.
And especially men too. Men are more. They want to hide their emotions and hide their
100%.
Yeah, and it's okay. Men out there, it is okay to be vulnerable. It's okay to you know, say how you're feeling and to feel emotions like anger and stubbornness is our emotions, but like there's more than just those two emotions, you know. So
I grew up with a very Southern father who was, no, but you don't cry. You don't cry. I definitely relate to that because as I've gotten older, I've learned that, you know, expressing your feelings and your emotions is very, very important for everybody.
yes.
Especially, I think especially almost for men because it's become so, like men have become more open with their emotions in recent years than ever before. And I feel like that's so important because it's okay.
Mm-hmm.
It's okay to show your feelings. It's okay to express your feelings. And I feel like so many men do need to hear that message.
Yeah.
But on a brighter note, because we're going to pick ourselves up. We're going to come out of the furnace.
Out of the furnace.
What would be your dream collaboration and why? I feel like you and Macklemore could really do something here because it'd be like, who's who?
Right.
But I want to hear what you have to say.
So I was asked this question like 10 years ago when I was doing an interview, and my answer still stays the same. Seal.
All right.
Tell us about Seal.
Yeah, so I feel like Seal's an interesting choice.
Yeah. Seal's great. Seal, if you're watching. We all love you. But tell us about that.
Yeah, so Seal for absolutely no reason at all because it's Seal, you know? Like,
All right, well, Seal, if you're watching, we got you. I mean, I doubt you'll ever watch this, but I mean, we got you.
yeah, I just want people to randomly be like, is up to the song with Seal?
Okay. So, in your opinion, we've had a lot of conversation about the music scene, the way it is now. To you, what is the most difficult thing about being an independent musician in this current climate, especially with talking about all the things we've talked about with music industry, record companies, you know, all of those things?
So, for sure, the hardest thing now compared to what it was before was that, like, now it's like the TikTok generation where everything is super quick, super fast, you know, and it's like people just want information shoved down their face all the time. And now here you are, somebody who's a musician that now has to be a content creator and has to take on another, like a full-time job. And I already have a full-time job just to be this content creator to constantly shove my music in your face all the time. That for sure is the hardest thing because one, maybe you don't have the personality that wants to be in people's faces all the time. Right. And two, you don't have the time to do it, you know?
Right. I mean, a lot of people, even like independent business owners, hire, you know, virtual assistants to help manage all their social media channels because it's a full-time job just on its own without even creating the music or the content. So yeah, it's definitely a really difficult facet of it.
It's crazy. After my album release show, I took a week off of like social media just to like, cause I was constantly on there. Yeah. And I haven't been on social media in so long. So it was like content overload for me. So I took a week off. It was crazy to see my stream decline that week. I was like, oh my God, like I really have to be doing this all the time, you know?
Wow.
It sucks.
Well,
But it is fun. I do enjoy doing that, but it sucks. It could suck.
yeah, I can imagine because, yeah. Well, this is actually one of my favorite questions. Make sure I had it going the right way.
That would be so funny.
This is a fucking train wreck already.
Everything is great. We're doing
Everything's
fine.
everything's fine.
But this is actually one of my favorite questions to ask people because I feel like everybody's answer is very different. Everybody's answer is very unique to them. But what do you think is the current state of the music industry, and where do you think the future is going for the music industry, specifically as an independent artist?
I think that's a very good question that you're asking me. Sorry. Surprisingly, I think that the music industry is heading in a great direction right now because of the fact that any and everybody can make music. It's just at everybody's fingertips, and which is also a bad thing, but it's a good thing for the people that are talented because so many talented people and undiscovered people are putting music out, and because of streaming services or any kind of service that plays music, it's so much easier to discover them, going into like your Spotify and finding like a playlist that you just felt like listening to, and then finding an artist you liked and going to their radio station and finding more artists that you like, and then all of a sudden being in love with a genre of music you didn't even realize existed. That's incredible. And I feel like that's got to be scary to big record companies because now they don't hold the power anymore. It's like these little guys can hold the power, and all it takes is just to get something played somewhere, and then next thing you know, they got 1 million streams on whatever,
At what cost, though?
Exactly.
That is the downside. So as a lot of with Spotify, if you watch Trenco Radio streaming, they give you chump change. So I feel like you're not gonna probably make a lot of money doing it.
No. When I put out my album Room to Grow 10 years ago, like streaming services like weren't even a thing yet. It was just like iTunes or Amazon. Yeah. So like you had to like buy the album, which was great for me, Right. Because I think I made whatever it cost me to make that album back like the first day, and it was like awesome. Now it's nobody buys music; it's all streaming or whatever, and Spotify pays 0.003 cents a stream, which is like you need a million streams to make anything. I saw some Snoop Dogg videos. Like, I don't understand, how am I only making $1 million if I have 1 billion streams? Like, for real, like, how is this a thing? And like when he says it like that, like that's like, it is wild to think about, But
and that's crazy comparing like what it was like your album 10 years ago versus now. I mean, that's only 10 years, and to see how much has changed, that's really wild to compare that.
Yeah, it is. It's crazy. Like I didn't think about that. I did think about it, but I didn't really fully realize it, Like I wasn't making this album to make money. But, when I was like, oh, my God, like, wow, streaming really doesn't pay anything. But it's the catch-22 because now your music's everywhere, which is awesome, which I love. Because I do know, like, local rappers or whatever that won't even put their stuff on streaming sites because they want to make money. So they just put it on, like, Bandcamp or whatever where you actually have to... Yeah, where you actually have to pay. And,
That's all right.
But yeah, like they, and I didn't understand why they were doing that. I'm like, because now you're limiting the people that are going to hear it. But then I realized, you're just trying to make money, and if that's what you want to do, that's fine. But so it's a catch-22.
You really have to like love making the music,
correct?
And you have to really just want to put it out there without thinking about.
And I just have one thing I want to add to that really quick too, but yeah, I feel like when you create music specifically for the purpose or solely for the purpose to make money, it's gonna catch up to you. I feel like when you actually make music that's genuine to you, that you have a genuine passion for, I feel like that's more important. And I mean, I'm not a musician, but I am an artist in my own right, and I do feel like when you're doing any sort of art to make money, you're going to fail.
No,
and
for sure.
I think that's true. I think that's always been true, honestly, regardless of what music industry is like. I think that's always definitely been true for decades. You have to actually have the passion for it rather than just only trying to make money.
For sure, because then it turns into a job, right? Yeah. And it's like, how many times, no matter if you love your job, there's just some times where you're just like, oh, this is like,
You're going to get burned out.
you get burnt out. If you're making something with some substance and it makes you feel good to release it, even though you might not think people will like it or whatever, but you know that it fills that serotonin or whatever in your brain, it's like, I think is a much better feeling than, money. But
So given how things are now, given just with the way the music climate has become, what advice would you give to someone who's aspiring to be a musician, an independent musician especially?
The advice I would give would just be don't go into it expecting to become a millionaire. Go into it because you love it and you actually care about it. And that's with any type of creative outlet, because like we were just talking about, you're going to burn yourself out. You're going to end up hating the thing that you supposedly loved, and that's not the vibe at all. But yeah, you just you gotta love it. You can't be in it for the money. You have to be in it because the passion that you have towards it.
Speaking of passion, okay, so as we mentioned before, you have a new album out for me.
Yes.
What is your favorite song off of that album and why?
My favorite song off the album has to be the first song, not the intro, but the next one. Well, the intro and the first song are like one song, Lost and Found. Just because I feel like it's the most relatable song on the album, unfortunately, because everybody's kind of been in that spot. But it just always hits the right notes for me anytime I listen to it. I never get sick of it, and it was my triumph song. It was like, I did it. I was lost. Now I'm found. I'm good now,
That has to be a great feeling, though, because we
It
all
is.
have those songs that we can just play on repeat because we love them, right? But then for it to be a song you wrote,
Yeah, I
it
mean,
has to feel pretty amazing.
it is a sad song, but it's like, there's something about it. I don't know. Like, I love it. At the last show that I did, just coming out to that song to perform is such a, like, I love it.
I got the
That's
whole intro
awesome.
to that last show too.
Nice.
So
It was
awesome.
quite an entrance. I loved it.
Thanks.
So where can everyone listen to your music?
You can listen to it on this link right here. No, it's everywhere you can stream music. So Apple Music, Spotify, Tidal, Amazon, Deezer, something else, a million other things. I don't even know what they are. But it's anywhere you can stream music, and on YouTube if you want to listen to it for free.
And it's spelled Z-U-P. Zup. Very
Zup.
easy to find. Should
Super
not have
easy.
a problem. You'll see a picture of him and you'll say, oh, it's Macklemore. No, it's not.
Yep, you'll see this.
It's Zup. So tell us a little bit about some of the events and shows that you have coming up. This is a good time to self-promote. You've played a couple of shows since For Me came out. What do you have coming up this summer?
Well, my next show is going to be July 8th, which is a Saturday, and that is at North High Brewery, which is in Ohio City in Cleveland. I'm excited for that because I've never performed there because it's not really a venue. It's just like a
Yeah, I was going to say. I
it's
don't
just
hear about many bands playing there.
Yeah, it's just a
musicians playing there.
brewery, and they're doing like this arts and music thing, so they're going to have a bunch of artists set up selling their artwork and
That's great. Yeah.
drink specials, food specials, but they're building a stage outside, and it's going to be awesome. It's going to be me,
Yeah.
Toby Raps, King Tex. It's going to be a good time, so I'm looking forward to that. And then a couple weeks after that, I'll be back at the Foundry in Lakewood, Ohio for Ray, because we love you, Ray.
We love you, Ray.
It's her birthday party, so I'll be performing at that, and that is, I believe, $10 in advance and $13 at the door. But that's all I got right now for shows. I'm excited. I missed it. I missed performing.
And we're glad to have you back.
Thanks.
Very, very glad.
It feels good to be back.
Yeah. We missed you.
Thanks. I missed you.
So yeah, that pretty much wraps up the episode. Before I let you guys go, please like, subscribe, hit your little notifications so you can see more of these interviews. We do hope to do more of them in the future. And if you are a band that would like to be interviewed by us, or if you're going to be coming into the Cleveland area, you're a small band, please message Tranquil Radio 216. As again, I mentioned we want to do more of these. So without further ado, bye guys. Mwah.
So remember talking to the microphone unlike everyone from Trap House Rave except for
Oh my god, I know. Yeah, like, yeah, so I was talking to this guy over there.
Dylan was like doing this.
Dylan was going like this, but
This guy over here told me something really important. And
Did you write out it?
So is this close enough, do you think?
Oh, I think
I think
that's
so.
perfect because you don't want to put it like right there. I think Sean actually farted on these, so if we put it close enough,
Oh,
maybe
perfect.
we can taste it a little
Perfect,
bit too.
yes.
Yeah.
taste a little bit of the fart.
Put some reps inside to rip some ass at the same time. You fucking enjoy it.
Get out, Sean.
If your balls and toe, tit fucker.
Peace.
Am I good on this side, or do you want me on this side? That's too far,
Yeah,
right?
I like the
Maybe a nice
close
little- yeah,
and
nice
it's more
little-
intimate, and Elvira's in the background.
Yeah.
She's part of our
Special guest.
Right.
Pretty fucking dope. So wait, this is the side I have to talk into, right?
Uh-huh.
Not recording that whole thing.
He hit
He hit record.
Okay, let me just check to make sure that we actually were recording. I'm gonna be so.
And we're back.
Take two.
I'll bet to wake it up. I'll bet
Okay,
it was
so
still on the...
Move the cursor up, yeah, just so it's out of the way. We are not professionals by any means.
This doesn't happen on Tranquil Radio, let me tell you that.
Oh, good for you. And do you want a cookie?
No, I don't. I don't even fucking like sugar.
I know.
Suck my balls.
That's tomorrow. You said that's tomorrow.
Okay,
job.
I still see the red square.
Good job.
All right.
You're good.
We did it right this time. So take two.
No, Pinky got loose and he ate Lexi's food and he threw up on the damn rock. It's all Candy's fault.
Hopefully.
I love you, Jim. Jim, if you're mixing this.